Good day, strategy gamers, and welcome back to episode 19 of our Let's Play series of the 1941 campaign and War in the East 2 as the Soviets. This episode we're going to be starting off turn 9 here. We're just getting into the middle of August in 1941, and we've got quite a bit to cover. If you recall from our last episode, we had a fantastic end of turn where really the Axis was not able to make any substantial gains against us, and then in terms of losses, certainly we were the kind of victor, with the Axis player losing about 90,000 men, 80,000, 90,000, something like that in the turn as a net change. So overall went very well for us. We didn't lose any strategic objectives. They did not cross our Dnieper River defense in the south, north of the Crimean Peninsula, and across the Ukraine they made some headwinds, but not too many. We still hold Smolensk, we still hold Novgorod, we still hold Veliki Luki, and they are now, what we're looking at here, closing in on Leningrad. So that will kind of be the next big frontier that we're facing off with. And as you can see, they're cutting north in both an east and western pincer movement here to try to bypass these heavy woods that are in this area, and also probably to try to encircle some of our units. So it's a really clever play by the AI here. We're not going to let that happen though, so we're going to pull these guys back, and we're going to try to bring in some to reinforce this door we've been talking about that runs north-south from Lake Ilmen to Leningrad as it pivots back close. And then we'll also take maybe one or two back towards Leningrad here to help with the defense, because now it's crunch time. Right now we have to actually defend Leningrad itself, and that is going to take a lot of effort to be successful in doing so. So those are the new focuses that we're looking at in this episode. Let's begin with pulling back these units. So I think right off the bat, like, we have this motorized rifle battalion. I think we're going to bring this back probably to these heavy woods here, or we could bring them back to this rough terrain. Let's see what we get in terms of defensive value if we bring them there. It's only 4. So actually, given their ability to move so well, I think I might bring them back into the Leningrad pocket, because that's 6,000 men that I can use to help with the defenses there. We'll keep this security unit there in the rough terrain with that fortification level of 1. Here we have this naval battalion. Here we have a rifle division. The rifle division, I definitely want to get back closer towards the city. And let's see, how do we want to do this? So what I'm going to do here is we're going to take this HQ unit and move it back off of this fortress. I think we'll take this naval unit back here. So that adds to 37. It does not seem too great though. I think we want something a little stronger. The rifle division can't make it back there in this one turn, so let's bring them back here to this rough terrain. They can camp out there for a turn. Back here we have this rifle regiment. And the rifle regiment, I think we're going to put here as, again, a bit of a layer buffer in between us and them approaching Leningrad from this side. This naval infantry unit, let's see, we have some militia units in here too. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move one of these militia units to the city fortification. And then I'm going to move this naval infantry unit back there where they were. Okay, so there's that. We've kind of evacuated much of this border guard unit. Thought I had moved something there. Oh, I took them off again, didn't I? So we're going to move the rifle division there next turn. For now, let's take the border guard unit, put them there. This guy, I think we will leave here again just as a layer, right? Project this zone of control from them approaching Leningrad. So this is going to buy us another turn, hopefully here, by having these units remain in front of the city's defenses. Back here, we're going to start bringing some of these units back, like this rifle division we're going to bring up here. This rifle division we're going to retreat back. Let's see. I'm also going to retreat this guy back here. Going to do the same thing with him. This HQ we need to get for the 8th Army up here because really that's where the bulk of their forces are. And we'll have to worry about these guys momentarily. I'm gonna move you back here. You back to there. Three rifle divisions north of Novgorod. Going to take the weakest of you and move you back here. This cavalry division want to bring north, I think. We have these units in reserve. That's good. That is good. Now, something for us to be conscious of here, right, is that right now we actually don't have a rail line connection to Novgorod. They've cut it off here in the north, which really then means our two closest lines of supply are going to be here and then Malaya Vashira. And then that moves north into Leningrad. So that's going to be something for us to be aware of as we look at making sure these units in this difficult terrain remain in supply. Debating if I move another rifle division out of here and move them north. That's kind of where my head's at. Yeah, you know, I think I am. Well. I think the momentum of their units is going to be going north, not trying to break through here. So yes, we'll bring this guy up here. Actually move him there. And then this other unit that I had, we can bring north there. 11, 6, 11, 16. Okay. So that's looking a little better. So now we've now pivoted and that door is now closed a little shut. We have a depot here, which is one of the reasons why I don't want to just completely evacuate out. And with the fortification level of 2, it's actually a very defensible hex, right? So for those reasons, I think I'm going to stay there. My only threat now is if they push south through this hex, take the city behind Novgorod, they've then isolated this rifle division, but that's going to be a risk that we're going to be okay with, I think. Now let's look at Leningrad as well and just how those defenses are shaping up, and you can see we're a little lopsided in some of these hexes. We've got 66 and 72, which is very strong, but over here we only have 12. So really what I would like to do is take probably one of these weaker naval infantry units and move them east, I think. And then I want to take this motorized rifle division. Well, let's see what the values are. We're going to take the 180th Rifle Division and move them here. Only gets us to 16. Shoot. It's not as much as I was hoping for. Let's take them off refit because they're certainly ready by now. Okay. Maybe I bring the mechanized division up. But I don't know if they're still needing refit or if they're looking okay. Cavalry tanks, they really don't have any of, so they're not in the greatest of shape. Now looking over here, I think what I'm going to do is add let's bring that militia unit down there. And then up here we're looking a little weaker, right? 13, 13, 8. So I think it's probably going to end up being that we'll take this guy north eventually, but for now we'll leave him out here. The air command obviously can just come to the rear. Kind of pointless having it sit out there. We'll set this motorized unit to reserve. Alright, for now that's going to be the status of things. What we'll do is next turn we'll try to have this rifle division retreat back to that fortress. That will be the plan. Okay. That is the state of things in Leningrad. Now it's important to remember too that if they cut off these units here, right, like if they make it all the way to Lake Ladoga, really my only hope then, well, I don't have a hope of getting reinforcements in here, right? So whatever is going to be in here is stuck here, and that's both we want to have a lot stuck in there, but we also don't, because if we have a lot stuck and encircled in Leningrad, it means that we don't have as much available to defend their advance towards Moscow. So that is really a double-edged sword. Now, the Axis doing a main thrust with Army Group North through this terrain towards Moscow is really difficult, and there's a reason that it wasn't something that they really explored too much of in the historical war, because this terrain is just perhaps the worst out of the entire Eastern Front up here. Certainly, it would challenge for a top spot in terms of the most defensive terrain. So that's to our advantage, but doesn't mean it's impossible. I'd rather not test the AI's willingness to conduct that. So they're going to make up a lot of ground going up here north. I remember a while back we had done some math, right, of, you know, if they take one row of hexes per turn, we're going to be just fine, because that means we make it to winter. I think now they're certainly going to hit Leningrad before winter. They will probably even hit it before the mud season kicks in. And if we look at some of the historical dates here for context, right, they were here August 16th, August 26th, so they're pretty much right on schedule for where they're at. But you can see that they were held a little bit here in these hexes with September dates. So I'm guessing they're probably going to get to the gates of Leningrad in the first 2 weeks of September. So in the next couple of turns is what we'd be looking at. It's going to be pretty intense. Looks like historically too, right? It's worth noting that they pushed through here more quickly, right? Because they took all of this in August as well. So we'll see if they continue with that pattern. It kind of looks like they've allocated the forces to do that, because they want to try to cut off Leningrad from any type of supply, which is really kind of their purpose there, to push so strongly north through these hexes. And you know what? Given that, as I say that aloud, it really does make a lot of sense that they're going to push more strongly this way. So what I'm going to do actually is take this 254th Rifle Division. I think I'm going to move them up here and try to slow them down. No, I don't know that I will do that. But we will bring them up here. That also then gives us more flexibility if we need to get more forces into Leningrad before it gets cut off. We have more options available up here. Okay. So there's that. Now we can move finally to the south of Lake Ilmen and see what's happening there. You can see that you don't even have any forces within sight as they look towards advancing on Staraya Russia. So, I mean, we're probably going to be able to hold that. We've started to get really dug in, so that's looking like a very defensible position. They actually did start pushing back here, though, a little bit. So what I'm going to do is make sure I get these rifle divisions out in time. So I'm also going to bring back these guys, because there's just no reason to let these guys get cut off. It's just, there's no point to it, right? So we're going to bring them back. I'm going to bring back this guy, move back here. And then this is Veliki Luki. You see we've gotten to a fortification level of 3. We've managed to hold out. But the fact is, they're going to cut us off. We don't have enough reinforcements protecting our flanks. So, as much as I would love to keep this guy here, make them really pay for taking Veliki Luki, the fact is we're not getting any benefit from having it right now. Is it an important crossroads in the war? Yes. Was it fought over many times? Yes. But because I don't have enough support units here, because I had to take so many of them south to defend Smolensk, which I'm pretty happy with that decision, by the way, considering we're still holding Smolensk, we're going to actually just withdraw here from Veliki Luki. I'm going to take that rifle division back there. We will equally take back this unit. This HQ unit we will move back. We will also take back some of these guys. There we go. That rifle division looks... No, maybe they're not ready. Thought they would be. No, you're not ready, but I'm still going to move you up. And then I'm only going to pull back this one unit here. Maybe 2. I might pull back 2. Yeah, I'm going to pull back 2, because I want to get you over here. There we go. It gives me a lot more cover here. So I moved pretty fast through all that. Let's take a look, though, if this is what we still want up here. We have this airborne unit and the rifle division. I think what I'm going to do is start moving the airborne unit up here. It's not, I mean, it's a very small unit, but I want to bring it up here so it can be in reserve. It can be kind of a second layer if they do break through in the north, etc., etc. So that's the reasoning there. That cavalry division will leave right where it's at. It's the Northwest Front HQ. I'm going to leave you there because it's probably right next to the depot, I bet. No, that's the depot, but yeah, we're going to keep it there, I think. I don't want the trucks having to go through all that terrain for every unit. And then I think I'm going to take this 229th Rifle Division. I'm going to move them forward here. Right, so they're there. Then I'm going to take this Rifle Division, doing that little domino effect, right? I'm going to move them north towards Leningrad. So let's get them all the way up there. And in terms of this HQ, I'm going to have to move them north now, I think. So let's bring them there. This guy we're just going to reassign real quick. 5th Airborne Corps, they're way over. Or we could do a 48th Army. Let's do the 48th Army. So there's that. That's the front. Okay. Let's get the guys that are part of the 5th Airborne Corps here reassigned. I have been doing a lot of this off camera, but it looks like I've gotten a little behind, so I'm going to move some of them now. There we go. So that should help a lot. Just 1,000 men, you're fine. I'm not bothering with that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this is probably the weakest point right now, right here. And that road is valuable because that road makes it much easier to transport supplies. So we'll see if they try to break through here. And this is kind of telling, right? Because I am very low on supply right here. I think I'm going to take you off refit if I can. Yeah, okay. You're withdrawing soon anyways. So this is looking okay here. It's looking okay. So they're going to take Veliki Luki. It sucks, but it's not worth losing a 13,000 man rifle division, right? If you remember, we lost all of, I think it was 17,000 men in the last turn. Or thereabouts in terms of a net battle change, net change. Well, that's the entire net difference that we would have lost there if we kept that rifle division. So that's why we moved it. I'm very okay with having layers and kind of throwing men into a machine to slow down their advance a little bit, but I'm not letting them encircle us as easily as historically did happen. And more and more and more, I'm starting to think that that is going to be why we might win this scenario if we do. Heck, I could still botch this. That is entirely possible. But looking at it, they've got a long ways to go still, and we have not lost that many men. It is really encouraging. Looking here around Smolensk, though, right? Like the pride of our defense. They took Smolensk. Let's see. July 16th of 1941. 1 month ago they took it. And if you look at the situation now, I would hate to jinx myself here, but it doesn't look like they're going to take it this turn either. It really doesn't. And we've got good defenses really on all flanks of the town here. So I'm really encouraged by this. Really encouraged by it. That one tank division there I'm going to probably flip out. Yeah, you're still unready. You're going through refits too. So I'm going to take them out. That puts me at pretty much 15 defensive value, but we have this tank division in reserve that hopefully would help. This rifle division is unready. But I don't know that I can take them off the line. We're going to, though. We're going to take them off the line. So let's move them here. Set them to refit. We have another tank division on reserve there, so hopefully that helps quite a bit. All right. Yeah, guys, it's looking pretty good. It really is. I'm really happy. I mean, we are so set up here in Smolensk that I don't see any changes for us to really make. I really don't. Now, it's showing, based off of what we can see, it's showing that they really don't have enough attacking combat value to attack us here. Right? It just doesn't look like it. But they could very easily have multiple panzer divisions south of the city here that are currently off of the front line with the intent of building up their combat preparation back to 100, so that way they can get upwards of, say, that 100 attacking combat value to assault the city. And that's also one of the reasons why I'm not going after and attacking these divisions, because the increase in fatigue that I take and the loss of combat preparation that I take will just diminish our ability to defend. And us taking this hex gets us nothing. We literally get back from it nothing of value, other than our own little selfish human morale boost of, hey, we took something. So we're just going to leave this just as it is. We're not going to advance through there. Which then brings us to kind of that Smolensk and Bryansk gap that we got down here. So we've started to build up a defensive line if they break through this clear terrain, which it looks like they will, but they haven't advanced as quickly as I thought they might. Now it's kind of alarming that they've got such huge stacks here. So what I'm actually going to do is take this rifle division, and I'm going to move them back, I think. I think I'm going to move them over here, maybe. I don't know that that makes a difference in that hex, though. I can move them north here, or I can move them down there. I really kind of want to move them north because my gut says, right, that's the road to Moscow, not down here. So yes, I'm going to move them up here. At the cost of this hex here, moving them up there. Don't think you need to stay on refit. Let's actually have you guys on reserve now that I think about it. Yeah, I like that. Because they could really then be a showstopper for their attack here in this hex. We've got 2 units on refits and 1 on reserve here. My goodness. Do you need to still be on refit is the question. You have no medium tanks, you have no heavy tanks, but you do have light tanks and cavalry tanks. Take you off? I can. And mechanized here, let's see where you're sitting. No cavalry tanks. Which really then just turns you into an infantry division. I'm going to set you to ready as well. Okay, so there's that. I set you to reserve. Should be able to have an impact here. You're on refit. And it looks like you need to stay on refit. Okay. Now if you remember, this is where we brought in our reinforcements. And really, that was kind of like the one takeaway from the last turn was, wow, so glad we did that, because they are about to break through and come to the gates of Ariol. And it's going to be really difficult here now because they're breaking into this clear terrain where there's just not a good way to slow them down, other than to throw people at the problem, quite literally. So that's what we're going to be attempting to do here. This mechanized division is depleted. I'm just actually going to move them to a refit status to Ariol. This tank division is in a similar story. I'm just going to take them back here, set them to a refit status. They're in refit in that hex. I'm going to take them to Ariol. Okay. Then I'm going to take my strongest rifle division that I've got. Probably these guys. Also have them sit in Ariol. So that way, even if they do blitz pass with some panzer units and these mechanized units, no matter what they blitz through, I know that I can hold Ariol for at least another turn after this. Now, historically, they took Ariol. Can't read that because I'm blind. Is it October? Yeah, October. So this is an area of the front where they are just way ahead of schedule. I'm really a little curious what I did wrong, but it looks like I did not defend this wooded perimeter strongly enough, because they take these hexes in August, and then a whole month, more than a month passes by, a month and a half passes by, then suddenly they take these forest lines. And it looked like I was doing fine until they decided to push through here, and I didn't have enough defenses. So that was really probably the first big blunder, not first, but one of the biggest blunders that we've seen so far with my timing along the front, because really elsewhere we've been doing quite well. Odessa fell pretty quick. I don't like to talk about that much, but it did fall pretty quick. So we're going to leave some of these units here, just so that way they can't move without being in our zone of control along this hex. And really then we want to try to bottleneck them to just a few hexes as much as possible here. And we have these guys on refit, and I hate to take them off, but I just have to. I'm going to take these guys back here. Set you both to refit. That rifle division is unready, which given its size is really kind of surprising. Okay, well, very well. So I'm going to take them to that hex as well, I think. This HQ unit has just got a ton towards it, the 29th Army. You're on refit, but I can take you off. Don't know. Yeah, so here you have reserve. Let's put you to refit. Get you out of there. You can come off refit. You're doing great. I think I need to leave both of you, because combined you only get a defensive value of 8, and they could pretty easily break through to the north of us here. So let's now start looking at what we can do to bring in the reinforcements, quite literally. One of the first things I'm going to do is just try to bring up units to create a layered defense here. Have this rifle division, put them down here. This airborne unit, come down here. Rifle division will move up. It's just 4 there. What we're going to do is we're going to set every unit here to a reserve status. You're unready. Goodness. What a mess. What a mess. Okay, there's that. Oh boy. They're gonna push right through. Really the one thing that might save me for another turn here is it looks like they have no supply. That is the only thing that is looking in my favor along this entire pocket, is that they push so hard and so far from their supply train that they just don't have anything, don't have any fuel, right, to keep going. So we'll see if that's enough to hold them for a little bit. This has me wondering if I don't take back this rifle division. I really can't stress this enough. I really don't want to. But it's just stretching our front so much right now by having that. So what if I did this? So if I take this HQ unit and move them back, if I then take this rifle division to this hex, which has a fortification level 1, that gets us to 10. Then I move this rifle division back here. It gets us to 24. So we are going to lose Bryansk. But we have been able to get us from a 4 to a 10 defensive value over here. 24, 14, 10. We actually get weaker as we approach our defensive target, but it's certainly better than it was. Get these guys to refit, my goodness. 3/4 of my ground elements here are on refit status. It's insane. I really don't know how to defend this clear terrain. This is just, especially looking at these panzer divisions. And then looking at Kursk here, the situation does not look any better. When we look at what we have in reserves for this turn, we're going to get some rifle divisions, but not many. Not many. Maybe a mechanized? No, they're not going to be ready either. These tank brigades aren't ready either. Okay. Well, quite a few challenges for us to address, huh? Quite a few challenges. Looking at Moscow, these are still just all of the militia units, yeah. Yep, that makes sense. Very good. Well, we'll let them all keep digging in. Might move them over here. And over here. Right there. There we go. Yeah. My goodness. So, all in all, I mean, still feeling good about this, right? They're scaring me around Aryol. Smolensk looks as strong as it has the entire game. They have a few spots where they might break through over here, but them breaking through into non-strategic held territory, I really don't care that much about. I have a few nerves about Leningrad, if for no other reason that Leningrad is one that is just so easy to mess up because, again, you put too much into this pocket, you don't leave yourself enough to defend the road to Moscow, you put too little in there, they'll take Leningrad because you can never resupply it with more ground divisions. Right, so that's really, it is a tough balance to strike there. And in my head, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm probably not going to throw any more units to the south of the map this turn. I really should send the rifle divisions to Kursk and Aryol. I really should do that. But in my head, I keep asking myself, should I instead bring them to Leningrad before it's too late? That's probably the thing that will give me the most pause for thought in between these episodes here, is if I want to continue to throw min at Aryol and Kursk, which I might add, they're going to take both of them either way. The Axis taking Leningrad, though, is not a for sure thing, right? Like, we could hold that the entire game, and you could argue we will kind of have to hold that for the entire game if we want to win. So I'm kind of leaning towards right now throwing our reserve units at Leningrad, not Kursk or Aryol. And it seems it is dire. It doesn't seem dire. It is dire looking at this open ground in our defensive values of 1, 1, 1, 1, and then everything else sitting here on refit status. But throwing rifle divisions into these hexes, just like this guy, right? This rifle division we just put in here, he's still just one hex that's sitting at a defensive value of 1. So I don't know how much good it does us. Speaking of, I'm going to bring him up and I'm going to set him to reserve status. Because he needs to get supplies too. My goodness. Okay. Well, what another interesting episode, guys. This has been a really, really fun series. Really enjoying going through it with all of you. Had some great comments in the comments section as well that I need to get to, but I have been reading them. Thank you so much, guys, for putting those there. And should you have any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comments section below. As always, Strategy Gamers, hoping you have yourselves an excellent day. Bye now.